let's start with the airstrike ordered by the guy in the White House. What's your take on all this? Do you find the timing as odd as some of us did?
Yes. So my take on this is Soleimani was a bad guy. But the question is, what's the right response? The job of the President of the United States is to keep America safer. And having killed Soleimani does not make America safer. I mean, look at where we are right now. We're having to pull American citizens, civilians, out of the entire region because we fear for their safety. We've stopped the work against ISIS with our allies, and we have a president of the United States who is tweeting threats of war crimes. So there's the immediate effect.
Tell them what that was.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The Cultural Institute.
So he is threatening to bomb cultural institutions. It's just a violation of international law, and it would be a war crime if the United States did that. And, you know, his own Secretary of Defense has stepped in and said, actually, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that. But here's the thing. He has moved us close to the edge of war. He's put our country on the edge of going to war. We know that the Iranians are going to respond. He's been in this escalation. This wasn't a one-off. This didn't happen all by itself. So I think of it, as I said, the job of the President of the United States is to keep America safe, to have a coherent long-term strategy, not to make impulsive decisions. And Donald Trump has taken us in exactly the opposite direction. Let me put it this way. We need a president who actually has good judgment and is willing to follow through.
You know, Senator, you, first of all, we have had conversations. I believe you respect the American military and respect our troops. You've traveled overseas many times, so I just want to say that first and foremost. Sure. You issued a statement calling Soleimani a murderer. Later, you issued a second statement saying that he was, quote, an assassination of a senior foreign military official. Now, this is a man who obviously is responsible for hundreds of American troops' deaths, carnage that we can't even imagine. The Treasury Department and the State Department have both designated the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. I don't understand the flip-flop. I don't understand why it was so hard to call him a terrorist, and I would just like you to explain.
So, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your kind comments. You know, all three of my brothers served in the military. We've talked about this before.
I believe you respect the military.
And I know you do, too. This isn't a change. They're true. The question is, what is the response that the President of the United States should make, and what advances the interests of the United States of America? Think about Saddam Hussein. You want to talk about a bad guy, right? However, going to war in Iraq was not in the interests of the United States. We lost thousands of American lives. It cost us here at home. It has cost us around the world. It has been a part of this cost in the Middle East that has ended up with millions of people who've lost their lives, who've been injured, who've been displaced. The question for the President of the United States is to understand what's going on, have an overall strategy, and pick an appropriate response. And going back to Whoopi's question, at an appropriate time. He's part of a group that has been designated. Is he a terrorist? He is part of a group that's been designated. So he's not a terrorist. Of course he is. He's part of a group that our federal government has designated as a terrorist. The question, though, is what's the right response? And the response that Donald Trump has picked is the most incendiary and has moved us right to the edge of war. And that is not in our long-term interest.